does Netflix have anything to do with anti-CAA protests?
Because the government flicks the internet.
Hitler and Modi are quite similar.
So you can have put that.
Have any of you ever gotten into an internet argument?
I think once on this show we decided that India's national sport was trolling, right?
Right.
Like, you know, the Indian version of Godwin's law, just in the past week, I have no idea where it suddenly come from, is that if any internet debate among Indians goes long enough, somebody pops up and says, yes, Valentine's Day is bad, that is why Sri Bapu Asaram Ji has started Respect Your Parents Day on Feb 14.
Mata
I've just
Pita
seen
Prem
this.
Divas.
I'm like, where did that come from? And it's literally like India's version of Godwin's law today.
They'll give you
Any
14 points for knowing Mata Pita.
It's an argument if they give a death threat to your mom and dad.
end of argument.
A couple of years back in Tamil Nadu, they had this Jallikattu ban. And then entire Tamil Nadu went and said, oh, we're going to protest about it. It's a good thing all the youth came up and all. And one of the posts was that largest protest in the world in history at the longest beach in the world. So I went ahead and said, hi. The largest protest was in Egypt, and the Chennai beach is not the longest beach in the world. It's not even the longest in India, and by no way is it even the second longest beach in South India. That's it. It was a fact check. If I'm not wrong, I put up that post and I went for a movie. And after the movie, and then like 10 missed call from my dad. Dad picks up and, what did you put up on Facebook? Put it up, like take it away right now. Your mom and I are getting death threats. There are people planning to throw stones on our house. And I was like, wait, what? And then a couple of my cousins, my aunts and all called up and said, go check Facebook right now. And the post had exploded. People are saying you're against the culture of Tamil Nadu. You are not a true Tamilian. What I did, I went for further facts. Listen, the longest beach in the world is in Canada. It's like about 8,000 kilometers long. Second is in South America, that's like 6,000. Chennai beach is 2.1 kilometers. By no way is it even like in the list. So, and then they're like, no, you're against the culture of Tamil Nadu. I'm like, yeah.
How dare you bring facts into this?
Yeah, exactly.
How did it end?
I had to take the post down because my mummy told me.
No, to be
So
fair to his mom,
sweet.
it was because people were calling up and then like sending him messages saying, we know where your parents live, we just dialed your number. And
Nice,
also.
quite
Yeah, so
scary.
it was very
It was
scary.
very weird.
So speaking of internet discussions and arguments, there's something known as the Godwin's law, which is what Akhila mentioned earlier. Can anybody tell me what is Godwin's law? Yes, Atala.
So when an internet argument goes on long enough, Godwin's law states that Hitler will be referenced.
Correct. Absolutely. 100 points to you and 50 points for Akhila.
I think we started, like our show just started on Godwin's law.
No, that's what New Zealand does.
Yeah.
Hitler and Nazis. Yeah, 50 extra points for knowing what the Quizmaster was going to ask about when he asked this broad question about internet discussion.
I got extra 50 points.
Not you,
So you can have put that.
Hitler and Modi are quite similar,
Okay.
but there's one huge difference. Hitler never banned internet in any of his states. It's a fact. It's a fact. Hitler never banned the internet in any of his states.
So Godwin's rule says that as any online discussion grows long enough, the probability of comparison involving Nazis or Hitler approaches 1, right? Which used to be the case in 2014 and in 2019, where any internet argument between family members or people with different opinions would eventually end up with comparing certain people with Modi or with Nazis and so on. And the Indian equivalent to some extent is go to Pakistan. The interesting thing is that there is not an easy way to go to Pakistan because there is no tourist visa for Pakistan, right? There are only few exceptional visas for certain categories. Can you guess what those are?
Going to Kartarpur Sahib from Amritsar.
Absolutely. So one reason for getting visas is religion, where you need to visit certain Sikh religious sites in Pakistan. You can get a
Which
visa.
Sikh do you mean?
The religion.
To meet relatives?
For sports. Sports,
Can you
right?
tell us about sports? Yeah.
Like India has gone on tour there, played at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore. So that's happened.
Sure, but for civilians, can you go there for sports reasons?
I'm sure you can if there's an event there.
If it's Sania Mirza, then she probably can.
Yeah, Yeah, what if you're married to a Pakistani? I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some
They
exception.
meet in Dubai.
So I'll give 100 points to Team 4, the one who shall not be named, who looks like he's from Jammu and Kashmir, and Sammy, right? They're absolutely right. One of the other reasons why you can get a visa to go to Pakistan is to visit your relatives. You have to prove that your relatives have been living in Pakistan before 1947, and to visit them, you can get a visa to go there. Siddharth sort of stumbled upon the right answer. To some extent, when India used to play in Pakistan, Pakistan used to provide visas to Indian citizens to go there. What do you think is the fourth reason that is important
maybe-
India and Pakistan?
I think Intel has an office in Lahore, so it could be for work.
I'll give you 100 points. It's for business related reasons. So money, relatives, religion, and cricket are the only reasons for which you could get visas to Pakistan.
Wait, so you can't just say, I want to look around Lahore?
No, you can't.
No, you cannot.
What if you want to get radicalized?
Try it.
So speaking of Pakistan and cricket, Siddharth has an unusual story to share.
I wanted to. I mean, we got tickets for the final, thinking India will obviously make it to the finals, and was excited and stuff like that. Then India didn't make it to the finals, so I had decided to instead try selling my tickets online and then go to Edinburgh. So I ended up going to Edinburgh, but I couldn't sell my tickets, so I took the train back on the match day to watch the match. I went during the second half exactly, and that was my last day in London. So we had decided, let's watch the match for some time. If the victory seems like it's going to happen, then there's this kebab place down like close by called the Lahore Kebab House, which apparently has great kebabs, and he said we'll go there. So we saw the match, and there was Ben Stokes and Butler batting, and we thought the match is going to, it's going to finish. There's no way New Zealand is going to come back from this game and stuff. So we took underground and went to Lahore Kebab House. And over there, I'm seeing the last over, and I'm like, what have I done? So you watch the match over there, but then the money's worth experience of the World Cup finals did happen.
So you travelled all the way from India to London to watch the Cricket World Cup final, and then you missed the last super over to eat Pakistani kebab.
Yeah.
I appreciate your patriotism in walking out of a match that India didn't make it to, but you negated that completely by anti-nationally going to a Pakistani kebab house.
Your citizenship should be revoked only for this reason.
No, but then he'll get it back. He's Hindu.
True.
We have editors.
So they can also prove I'm from Pakistan if they say I'm from Lahore Kebab House.
The lady Syed Anowara Taimur was Assam's only female chief minister. She was also India's only Muslim chief minister before Mehbooba Mufti became the chief minister of J&K. What not so funny omission did she face in 2019? Yes.
Her name was left out of the NRC, and so
Absolutely right. 50 points to you for knowing that. Her name was left out of the NRC. Where does she live? Do you know?
In Saif and Kareena Kapoor's house.
in a detention center.
No.
In Kerala.
In Dispur or Majuli, maybe?
No. She's actually currently living in Australia. And her family members filed her name in the NRC, and then they found out that her name doesn't exist. So she's planning to file it again.
So she's in the National Register for Canberra.
Because India can't bear her.
So Assam's only female chief minister and India's first Muslim chief minister is not part of the NRC. How would the Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir been part of drafting the Constitution of India?
Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes.
Kashmir.
She's so scared. We're all looking at you, waiting for you to go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
I remember either B.N. Rao or someone else being the first Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. This was post 1947.
You're partially right. It was in 1944 to 45. B.N. Rao was the Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. 100 points to you for knowing that. Can you tell me anything interesting about B.N. Rao?
He was the draftsman of the Constituent Assembly,
Absolutely.
and he was a civil servant.
He was the first Prime Minister of Jammu Kashmir.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was briefly the Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. He's a legendary civil servant of the British India as well as post-independence. He was a judge at the International Court of Justice at Hague. He was also a judge at the Calcutta High Court, and he's the person who wrote the first draft of the Constitution. In fact, when B.R. Ambedkar presented the first draft in the Parliament, he thanked B.N. Rao for all the work that he had done, because he's the man who actually drafted the first Constitution of India. He incidentally was responsible for drafting the Constitution of Bangladesh as well, right? And so he's a man who's responsible for the Constitution of India as well as Bangladesh.
The original Sharma ji ka beta.
He's the original Sharma ji ka beta, right? Interestingly, do you know anybody else who's contributed to national assets for India and Bangladesh? Yes.
This is
dude.
Rabindranath Tagore
Yes.
with Janaganamana and I don't know the Bangladeshi.
Shonar Bangla.
Amar Shonar Bangla.
Rabindranath Tagore has written the national anthem for 2 countries. One is India and Bangladesh.
And Sri Lanka.
Can you tell me what that is?
When he wrote Janaganamana, he didn't realize it will become the national anthem. But the Bangladesh national anthem was, it was kind of, he was involved in the process. The Sri Lankan national anthem is based off one of his songs or something like that.
It is inspired by
Inspired one of
Tagore's anthems, right? Sri Lankan national anthem is written by this gentleman called Ananda Samarakun, and he was inspired by Tagore's national anthems written for Bangladesh and India. So Tagore has inspired the national anthems for India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh.
Wow.
So he's
You
been
can
awarded
find out all
UNESCO's.
about it at UNESCO.
Moving on to the next question. In 2016, what fundamental right did the United Nations recognize? Or what did United Nations recognize as a fundamental right in 2016?
The right to live.
Not the right to live.
Is it the
I'm going to say the right to Wi-Fi.
Better answer.
Yes.
Right to internet.
Yeah.
I'm going to give 50 points to both of you. It is the right to internet, right? They believe that international citizens should have unlimited or undisrupted access to internet.
What is life without internet?
We should ask the person from Jammu and Kashmir.
Exactly.
I can't imagine life without the internet. So
Li-Fi? Which is interesting, by the way, because a lot of people that I've spoken to in recent times, younger people who might have been, very pro-government before, pro any government policy, after the internet ban in Jammu Kashmir, it's like this shock to them suddenly, they start up and said, Hari, but how are people communicating with friends? You can't follow the news, you can't follow this, you can't follow that. This is so wrong. It's like interesting. So we've actually got the younger generations through kind of a back door.
Now that you brought it up, can you tell me where in Srinagar will you have access to internet today?
There's like some 90s style internet center that they set up for journalists, I
Yes.
think, where you basically everything you did was monitored and you had to sign in and register every time you wanted to use it.
like the Sifi box. There used to be the Sifi.
Cyber
It's exactly like an
Like a cyber cafe.
Cyber cafe.
So it's exactly like a cyber cafe. So there's something called the Media Center in Srinagar, where journalists have 45 minutes to 60 minutes every day that they can go, get a token and sit at a particular computer, upload your documents, upload photographs that you have taken, and then also use that time to check your emails and download things that your other journalists have sent to you. So that is the only time the journalists in Srinagar have access to internet. today.
Total throwback Thursday, man. This was like my school time. I remember Yahoo groups and ASL and all that kind of stuff. 30 rupees per 1 hour we used to pay.
Except your parents actually gave you access to the internet.
Yeah.
So yes, in 2016, the United Nations recognized that the same rights people have offline must also be protected online. However, some nations sought to weaken the resolution amendments. These nations included Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and India. The first instance of rioting in Mumbai was in 1832 against the British government and was led by the Parsi community. These protests were a series of actions sparked by an attempt by the British government to exterminate certain members or certain residents of Mumbai.
The Parsi funeral procedure involves
Towers of silence.
the Tower of
Silence.
where they leave the bodies to be absorbed into nature.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming the British government were against this and they want to move it away from human settlements. And
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's vulture hunting, I'm guessing. They
Not
wanted
vulture. That is what Sammy was trying to refer
Correct.
to. Thanks for explaining his answer, but both of them are wrong.
A certain practice of the Parsis they were trying to eliminate.
No. They were trying to eliminate certain residents of the city of Mumbai.
Like sewer rats or something like that.
Not sewer rats,
Was it incest?
not incest.
Was it against pet animals? Yeah, I'm thinking it was against them keeping dogs at home.
It's dogs, basically
Dogs.
stray dogs,
Correct.
right? So the first ever instance of rioting in Mumbai took place against the extermination of stray dogs. So these are called the dog riots of Mumbai
Yeah.
that took place in 1832.
But why?
But why?
Why?
But why?
So dogs are considered sacred in
Zoroastrianism, yes.
And that's the reason why Parsi community led these protests that time. Moving on to the next question. What does Netflix have anything to do with anti-CAA protests in India and anti-fascist rallies in World War II?
A few weeks back, because of the rising support for the anti-CAA movement, the government put out this thing of, give a missed call if you support CAA. And They then put out this missed call, and then to increase the number of people who called up, certain like the online army essentially put out things, with girls' pictures saying, "Hi, I'm lonely, call me on this number," and then they put out that number. And one of the ploys that they used was to say, if you call this number, you'll get a free Netflix account. That is the only connection I can think of to the CAA movement.
That's actually 50 points. I think that's an amazing connection between Netflix and anti-CAA protests. I think there was Sunny Leon, there was Netflix.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
else was promised?
Feeling lonely, call me here.
Feeling lonely,
lonely,
call
of
me for a
course.
good time.
Lots of free offers, I think, like get this free, get that free.
I think
But I think-
mobile recharge was there.
Mobile recharge is there.
Mobile recharge.
Mobile recharge. In fact, I was impressed that Amit Shah actually mentioned the name Netflix in his speech. It's probably one of the rare times that Amit Shah or Modi have actually mentioned a brand.
It
I'm
was-
sure the marketing manager of Netflix was going like, no thanks.
Oh no, so there were two things, right? So one is he, I think, came out and said something about, people are saying this is the number for some channel called Netflix, but it's not, it's our number. And the second thing was, I think one of the Netflix India accounts put out a thing saying, you can't call this number to get a free account.
Use
Use other people's accounts like the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's a good one. So, in fact, let me tell you, the connection between anti-CAA protests and anti-fascist rallies in Italy in Second World War also connects to something that's being used in anti-Brexit protests in Europe last year, 2019.
Milkshakes.
Not milkshakes.
Now,
A representative from Jammu and Kashmir, do you have an answer? No. They don't get Netflix.
They don't get net. Because the government flicks the internet from them.
There's no
Only if
chill.
you're against
The
them.
government has no
It has
chill.
no chill.
No. Let me play you one part of the question.
जब तक है बाकी सीने में दम गाएंगे ऐ जालिम वापस जाओ 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 फिर लहराएगी लाल गगन में तेरे इरादों की
Does anyone want to take it?
This is that Italian song, Ciao.
Bella Ciao.
Bella Ciao. Yeah.
From which show on Netflix?
Money Heist.
Money Heist is right. So 100 points to Team Mastane for getting that right. This is a Hindi song called Wapas Jao by Pujal Sahil. This song is essentially in support of anti-CAA protests in India, and it's based on an Italian song called Bella Ciao, which has become popular because of Money Heist. It's used in the soundtrack of Money Heist.
Una mattina mi sono alzato, oh vela ciao, vela ciao, vela ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'invasor.
This song was also used when anti-fascist partisan movement were fighting against this small republic called Selo in Italy, which was run by Nazi Germany, right? And since then, the song has always been about anti-establishment. What does Bella Ciao mean?
Bye, beautiful.
Ciao is bad.
Bye, beautiful.
Or hello, beautiful. It could be hello or
Bella is beautiful in
goodbye.
French.
Yeah, ciao
It's
is-
Goodbye Beautiful.
Well,
Interestingly, it's actually a protest song. It's a folk song that originated by the women workers in Italy, right? They were field workers and they were protesting against the establishment. And that's how Bella Ciao, the song, comes. It's interesting to see how many protest songs originate or protest art originates from women.
It is interesting.
It is.
Wonder why.
Quite interesting.
Which is like that iconic image of the Jamia girls, right?
Yeah.
Like the three girls. During the original protest, I mean, you had these three girls who were making a speech, and that
Ah, yes.
image of the three of them standing essentially on top of a whole heap of other
Yeah.
protesters went viral.
It is interesting.
Or the Sudanese protester.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Girl who's standing on top of
A car or
yeah.
on the hood of a car.
Correct. It was very similar to the Jamia girls pose. I mean,
Yeah.
So speaking of women and protests, right? In 2012, in this West African country called Togo, right? The women were protesting against the corrupt president. What do you think they did unusual to protest against the president? How did they make their demands be heard?
They stripped down naked and they marched down towards the parliament or something of that sort. Or maybe this is a completely
No, that's not
different-
right.
They
Athula, I
went
think-
on strike at home. They withheld what they would typically do for their husbands at home.
Which is?
I think they stopped doing household work. They withheld sex.
I was thinking withheld sex.
Absolutely right. So they withheld sex. They told that the men are not fighting against the corrupt president. The only way they would get this done is by withholding sex.
So-
right? And that's how Togolese women.
So Togo became no-go zone.
Yes, absolutely. What connects Konkona Sen, Tilotama Shom, Varun Grover, and Rahat Indore?
Nothing.
Nothing. Consciousness.
So Rahat Indore is a Hindi poet who's also written a lot of what could be considered protest poetry now and is being widely quoted at various protests where Hindi is spoken. So I think Varun Grover had borrowed from some of his poetry when he wrote Hum Kagaz Nahi Dikhayenge, which was then, like I said, the Bengali film stars did the Bengali version of it.
Absolutely right. 100 points to Team Diwani. Varun Grover's famous poem Hum Kagaz Nahi Dikhayenge is inspired in parts by Rahat Indore's famous Kisi ke baap ka Hindustan thodi hai, right? There's a line in which says
सभी के खून शामिल यहाँ की मिट्टी में किसी की बाप का हिंदुस्तान तोड़ी है.
absolutely, that line is also used in Varun Grover's poem. And 13 different artists from the Bengali film fraternity got together and sang the Bengali version of this, which is
ভালোবাসা আর বিপ্লব বুকে ভয় তো পিছু হটবো না কাগজ আমরা দেখাবো না
এদেশ আমার এদেশ সবার বিসমিল যে শ্রীরাম প্রসাদ
ধর্মে ধর্মে বিভেদ করে আজকে তুমি বাঁচবে না কাগজ আমরা দেখাবো না
Rahat Indore once gave this interesting anecdote about reading this poem in front of the Prime Minister during the emergency days. And in one of his poems, he also spoke about how Sarkar chor hai. Right? So the police arrested him and asked him, Acha, aapne bola ki Sarkar chor hai? And he said, yeah, but I didn't say which Sarkar is.
इमरजेंसी के ज़माने में मैंने एक मर्तबा ये कह दिया था कि सरकार चोर है, तो दूसरे दिन पुलिस स्टेशन पर मुझे बुला लिया गया. अफसर ने मुझसे पूछा कि आपने रात मुशायरे में ये कहा है कि सरकार चोर है. मैंने कहा जी हाँ, ये तो कहा है कि सरकार चोर है, लेकिन ये नहीं कहा कि हिंदुस्तान की सरकार चोर है, कि पाकिस्तान की सरकार चोर है, या अमेरिका की सरकार चोर है, या बरतानिया की सरकार चोर है. तो वो अफसर ने मुझे देख के अफसर मुस्कुराया और कहा कि अच्छा, आप हमें बेवकूफ भी समझते हैं क्या? हमें मालूम नहीं कि सरकार कहाँ की चोर है.
So that's right. Varun Grover wrote the poem Hum Kagaz Nahi Dikhayenge, taking parts of Rahat Indore's famous poem Kisi ke baap ka Hindustan thodi hai, and this was used by Bengali film fraternity to protest against CAA. What innovative wordplay did Mamata Banerjee use to protest against CAA? Yes, Manasvi.
Chi, 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 choo, choo, choo.
Chi chi kaka. And then it's chi chi kaka.
Yeah,
Kaka,
chi, chi, ka, ka, poo, poo, something.
Absolutely. Knowing that. No, Akhila.
I'm surprised there's no Didi.
No, there's no Didi, Chi Chi.
We can split it because you
This
got
sounds
the
like a
chi-chi.
Venga Boys song, right?
Although if she participated in a protest, she could hold a banner.
Banerjee.
It was Banerjee.
Banerjee.
Can you explain what the protest song was of?
Honestly, I just watched this bit. Someone had turned it into a loop. And she's been leading quite a few protests actually, which while suppressing many others. So, interesting character. But there was this one particular thing where she'd gone to, I think, different constituencies within Kolkata and she was leading protests. And one of the slogans that she was yelling was Chi Chi Kaka, Kaka being the CAA and Chi Chi just being her personal reaction to it, I think. And of course, Kaka also being synonymous with poop, as he said.
Yeah.
So.
chi 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 kaka chi 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 ka ka chi 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 ka ka chi 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 ka ka chi 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 chi.
I'm surprised there's no Gully Boy soundtrack.
An auto-tune.
This is brilliant.
Govinda must be really offended.
So that's right. Mamata Banerjee used a song called Kaka Chichi where she punned on CAA and Kaka, and she asked all her party workers to use the same song. Is Deepika Padukone an Indian citizen? Yes, Siddharth.
Her dad might have won the All England Championship, but she's Indian.
She's Indian?
She was born in Denmark, but she's Indian.
Correct.
She's Karnataka.
Yes.
She's Bangalorean.
Hey, CSB.
But she is anti-Indian if you talk about her going to JNU. No?
Oh, she's anti-Indian because she went to JNU.
But otherwise she's Indian.
Deepika Namade.
But she wanted Mysore Pak from Chennai.
Yes, and Orchids.
So because Sri Krishna Sweets in Chennai makes good Mysore Pak.
But if it's Pak, it's not Indian.
So she's not Indian then.
Akhila, what was served at Deepika Padukone's wedding?
Mysore Pak?
And what else? What are the South Indian condiment?
Rasam.
It's
Like Milaga Drink.
Paddu. Cone. Paddu in a cone.
Good one.
So considering her Mangalorean origins, maybe kokum juice?
Not kokum juice.
Neer dosa.
I'm very proud to know this actually.
Neer dosa.
Not neer dosa. What would be the most South Indian thing to drink at a wedding?
Filter coffee.
Filter coffee. Right? Mysore Pak and filter coffee were served at Deepika Padukone and Ranveer Singh's wedding in Italy. 100 points to Bertie and Akhila for knowing that.
Did they also serve chapati?
Do we also get Mysore Pak and filter coffee for answering this right?
Also, I love the fact that you go all the way to Italy and then serve Tamil filter coffee.
Exactly.
And not Italy.
Yeah.
How do you think it was Tamil filter coffee? It was just filter coffee.
Nammade.
South Indian filter
Because Deepu Nammade. So.
Wait, that is not answered yet. No, Deepu Namde or not?
Kapi also namde.
Don't copy my answer.
I think no, because she acted in Chapak.
Mysore Chapak.
Has anybody watched Chapak?
I haven't.
I haven't.
I have.
Maybe he did.
Did you like the movie?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Any interesting facts you want to share about the
I
movie?
can't remember it now, actually.
Clearly, great movie, but I don't remember it.
I happen to know that they paid tribute to Lakshmi by naming the music class in Chapak Lakshmi Music Class.
Oh, because of Lakshmi Agarwal on
Yes.
whom it's based. Nice. 50 points to you for knowing that.
Also, them changing the name of the criminal is fake news.
Yeah.
But you didn't watch the movie. You cancelled your 3 tickets in Vadodara.
I got a WhatsApp forward.
I love the fact that she watched the movie, but everyone else is getting the facts.
That's how this country works.
Right. You were telling us about how Deepika Padukone was born in Denmark.
I think her dad used to train in Denmark, in Copenhagen, so she was born there, but I don't think she's a Danish citizen. I think she's Indian.
So she was born in Copenhagen, then she made a mark.
Kill me now.
20 points to you for knowing that and 10 points for knowing the fact. You're absolutely right. Deepika Padukone was born in Copenhagen when Prakash Padukone was practicing there. But as far as we know, she is an Indian citizen by
descent.
By descent or by naturalization.
Accident,
Because
actually,
she's a decent person.
She's a descent person.
nationality by birth, always accident. I mean, I'm Indian only because my parents are Indian.
Correct.
They were feeling happy.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Quickly moving on. Arrange these things in the order of chronology. The Mumbai riots, the Babri Masjid demolition, the release of Jurassic Park, and the release of Mani Ratnam's Bombay.
Okay.
You can go.
Team one, tell us your order.
So Jurassic Park, then the masjid was demolished.
Okay.
Bombay riots, and then Bombay the movie, because I remember the movie featured a riot scene, so it would have been freakily prescient if
Mani Ratnam predicted the riots before.
So, Babri Masjid was 1992.
Okay.
Mumbai riots was after the Babri Masjid, so after December 92 or 93. Jurassic Park was 94. Bombay was 95.
Perfect. Okay.
So we're saying Bombay riots was August 92.
Okay.
Babri was December 92. Jurassic Park was 93 and Mani Ratnam's Bombay was 94.
Okay.
We are saying Babri Masjid, then Bombay riots, Jurassic Park, and then Bombay the movie.
Okay. 100 points to team Parwane and team 4.
Yes.
Right, you're absolutely right. It was first the Babri Masjid demolition took place on December 6th, 1992. The Mumbai riots took place between December 1992 and January 1993.
Yes.
Jurassic Park released in June to July 1993.
Correct.
And Mani Ratnam's Bombay released 2 years after the riots, which is remarkable for a movie to be based on a real incident, to be released within 2 years and be allowed to be released within 2 years. and it was released on March 1995.
Correct.
So interesting anecdote to that Mani Ratnam movie.
Yes.
I think the shoot, once he made up the story based on the Babri Masjid and the Bombay riots and stuff like that, he shot the movie with the actors in a span of 60 to 80 days. But when he showed it to the censor board did not want this movie to be certified. They didn't want it to see the light of day. Apparently, the censor board, when he had gone, Mani Ratnam had mentioned this in his book, The Conversations with Mani Ratnam, that when he went and approached the CBFC officers, they said, they will make sure personally that this movie does not see the light of day and something of this should not come out ever in the open. So after like 1.5 years of struggle, finally this movie got released with a lot of edits apparently. And because of this movie, there was apparently also a bomb which was placed at Mani Ratnam's house. Or something of those lines.
So they were allowed to keep only parts of the movie in the final release.
Yeah, so apparently they had to edit a lot of the portion relating
So they were like,
to the riots.
kuchi rakmo.
I just played into that.
Next, is this a fact or fake news? Citizenship Amendment Bill was rejected by the Rajya Sabha but passed by the Lok Sabha. Manasvi thinks it's a fact. Can you explain why so?
I think this was way back during the Congress time when they were trying to implement a CAA or to amend the provisions for bringing in persecuted minorities in. I think that time they did not have the majority in the Rajya Sabha and that time it got
interesting. Yes. No. But yes. Fake news. No. I'm going to give 50 points to whoever said it's a fact. That's teams Parwane, Mastani and Team 4. You're absolutely right. In 2016, the same Citizenship Amendment Bill was tabled and passed by the Lok Sabha but rejected by the Rajya Sabha. So this is the second time it's actually been proposed in the Lok Sabha and it has been passed this time by both the houses. Right? It was earlier rejected in 2016 and there were no protests around that time.
It's like Uber basically, you cancel a cab and
The Indian Constitution is completely original and not copied by other countries' constitution. Everyone thinks it's fake news. Can you tell us which parts of the Indian Constitution are inspired by other constitutions?
Our rights and our preamble, we the people giving ourselves a constitution, comes from the US.
Yes.
The directive principles come from Ireland.
Yes.
The fundamental duties and the 5-year plans come from Russia. And quite a few other countries. Some things we take from Australia, Japan.
I'll give 150 points for naming at least 3 things that are inspired by other countries. She's absolutely right. The fundamental rights come from the Bill of Rights in the United States Constitution. The directive principle comes from Ireland. Correct. The fundamental duties concept comes from Russia. Is there anything else that you think?
Separation of powers, which comes from US again. Then there is
that liberty, equality, fraternity is from.
That's in the preamble. That comes in the.
But the preamble is in the Constitution.
The preamble itself comes from
US.
The United States Constitution.
Written Constitution. The fact that it's written Constitution is taken from the US.
Yes. And I'll give you 100 points for naming at least 2 things.
There's quite a bit from WhatsApp forwards also.
The Indian Constitution.
Yeah. My uncle sent this to me, so I know it's a fact.
So a lot of people, the argument on the internet is that if you discuss about CAA or NRC or NPR, the argument usually ends at the point saying that, have you read the Act? How many of you have read the Act, the Citizenship Amendment Act? How long do you think it is?
2 pages.
Yeah, the amendment is only about 2 pages.
Exactly, right? It's actually just 2 pages. It's published in what is called the Gazette of India, which is the official document or the publication of the Indian Parliament. And it's not more than 2 pages long, so everyone should just go out there and read it. Right? You're absolutely right. It's the Indian Constitution has been inspired by many different countries, including Japan, South Africa, France, United States, Russia, Australia, Canada especially. So a lot of the many members of the Constituent Assembly did travel to other countries during that time to take inspiration from how the constitution of those countries were built. So the Indian Constitution is actually not original in that sense.
But I think what's interesting is, I don't know if you're the only country, but I think we're one of the very few countries whose constitution right from the beginning gives universal adult franchise to voters. Like men, women, property, landed, non-landed.
Yes, absolutely. Right. India is one of the first countries to have that in its constitution. Like you said, fundamental rights was inspired by United States. Fundamental duties is inspired by Russia. The fact that you can suspend fundamental rights during an emergency is inspired by which country? Yes.
Germany.
Germany is absolutely right. That's what you've taken from Germany to suspend the person's fundamental rights during an emergency.
Thanks for watching India Wants to Know, India's first panel quiz show. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified about our latest episodes.